Are you concerned about social issues? Our psalm today, Psalm 82, certainly is. Now you might think that's a ludicrous question. You might think, well, I'm a Christian, of course I should be concerned about social issues. But some Christians have tied themselves up in knots over the years. They've said, no, we're not into social issues. We're just into the gospel. Well, they're Christians that I can understand them to a certain degree, where they've seen other churches perhaps throw out the gospel and just focus on social issues. Well, we should never do that. The gospel is the only message that saves. And yet at the heart of the gospel is God's heart for justice. Of course, that's what happened on the cross. Without justice being met by God sending his own Son, Jesus Christ, to die on our behalf, then none of us would receive his forgiveness, because justice was met by the perfect life and sacrifice of Jesus Christ in our place. And yet for us to live in this world, we're to be his ambassadors, we're to reflect his heart, we're to be concerned about the things he's concerned about. We're to trust in his perfect judgment. Look at verse 1. God presides in the great assembly. He renders judgment among the gods. So God's justice, God's judgment, it is better than anyone else in the world who sets themselves up as judges. We've seen so many people so often try to speak up for what's right, and yet they've been corrupt themselves. And so it's only by trusting in God and asking for his wisdom, asking that he'll grant us humility and grace as we care and we're concerned for the things that he is. This is very much so much of the Old Testament. Verse 4, listen to this. Rescue the weak and needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. That's God's heart. That's to be our heart. Where's that happening in our community? Have recent events that have been on the news, have they stirred us to examine ourselves to see whether as Christians we should be more involved in certain things? We should be concerned and we should be broken where we see injustices. I'm sure that's been the case. Because right towards the end we read this in verse 8. Rise up, O God, judge the earth, for the nations are your inheritance. God's in charge. All things belong to him. And as his ambassadors, we must reflect his glory in this world of injustice and pain, sharing his love, his mercy, his grace, his justice.